It is time for the final new heroes banner of Book 7. And all we know for sure is that we're getting Ginnungagap with the Arcane Dagger. But other than that, I have no idea. We could be getting like Fire Emblem 1, Awakening, or Fates. I have no clue. So let's just jump in to see what we're getting. That's what I would imagine, at least. Yeah, okay, there she is. Okay, let's start at the top with the Arcane Dagger, Arcane Void. So essentially what this does is slaying. If your HP is greater than 25%, you're going to get +5 to all stats. You're going to inflict all stats -X on the foe, which is the highest penalty on either the unit or any unit within 2 spaces. Then you're also going to get a guaranteed follow-up attack and special acceleration. So this is an okay Arcane Dagger, honestly. I'm not too hyped for this one. I think this is kind of like the weaker arcane weapon we typically get beforehand, before we get the more powerful one later, or the more specialized one, I should say. Right? This is definitely not an Arcane Lewin or an Arcane Devourer. Like, it's not at that level. You really need some kind of way to debuff the enemy before combat. You don't want to rely on smokes. So this it needs to go on a unit who either provides debuffs or has a team that provides debuffs. And so overall, I'm not too impressed with this one. And it's probably not the dagger I'm going to be going for like all my arcane needs, right? Like, not for Jafar and stuff. I'm going to wait for the next one that we hopefully get. Either way, let's move on to her preference skill, which could definitely help her out. Ruler of Nihility. Oh, I don't like seeing Nihility in a skill name. That scares me. At start of turn, inflicts attack and defense -7, discord, and stats preventing counterattacks on nearest foes within 5 spaces of unit and foes within 2 spaces of those foes through their next actions. And then at start of combat, if foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75%, or there's a penalty active on the foe, you get another attack and defense -5 on them during combat. And also, if the unit's attack can trigger unit special, grant special cooldown count -1 before unit's first attack during combat. Okay, so this is pretty much what you would want for this dagger to actually be effective, right? You have a way to provide debuffs at the beginning of combat. You have Discord, which further debuffs the enemy, right? Which is very, very good as well. And then you even get this really annoying flash effect. So what this essentially is going to be is like Baby Lara Shell almost, right? Like, the nearest ally within 5 spaces is going to get a flash effect so they cannot counterattack. But with this one, it actually spreads as well, which is a very big deal, because one of the ways you beat Baby Lara Shell back in the day was you had someone in the front bait that effect, and then you had a save in the back actually doing the tanking, right? With this is not going to work, right? Because anytime you're within 2 spaces of that front unit with the save, they're going to get flashed as well. So that's a very powerful effect, and will definitely add more value to NCD, which is already really high in value at the moment. But as well as that, you're going to get another attack and defense -5 during combat. And then notably, you get the special cooldown -1 effect. The same thing we had on like Duo Aiku introduced it, right? It's kind of the same thing we have in Rally Spectrum as well. And this is very, very good for Ginnungagap in particular, because as a cav unit, she cannot run Time Pulse. So being able to get that extra special acceleration with the special acceleration in her weapon, right? That means she's going to be able to get consistent lethalities off on the second hit, which is very nice. Next, we have Fatal Smoke 4, and I am not even reading this yet, but I already hate it, because Fatal Smoke 3 was the skill that pretty much killed all my favorite units. So let's see. Okay, so essentially what this does is it has the base Fatal Smoke effect. They cannot recover HP during or after combat, but it also has an anti-miracle effect. That's right. Now, just to be in particular, this is anti-miracle for non-special effects, right? So if you have the actual miracle special, this won't affect it. But if you're like looking at like Brave Seliph or like Jameer, right, this is going to turn that off, which is really, really scary. I think this also will turn off Fallen Maria as well. So this is pretty much anti-miracle like synergy, which is really, really strong. And it not only that, it also causes the deep wounds effect, which, you know, continues that no healing effect, but also it puts an effect that turns off miracles as a debuff on the unit as well. So I kind of expected this a long time ago when Brave Self was kind of running rampant, right? That we would get some kind of anti-miracle tech. This is it, but it seems like it came kind of late, to be honest, because like I think like Miracle is still very strong in our meta, but it's definitely not as powerful. Like, it's not at its peak, right? Back in the day with Brave Seliph and with like Duo Ymir coming out in the summer, I think that's really when Miracle was at its strongest, and it was really kind of annoying. Right now, it can definitely be annoying with units like Halloween Anna, right? Being able to put that Miracle and pre-charge it herself. But this is here now, so I'm not going to say I like this by any means. I hate Fatal Smoke. I think it's one of the most annoying, stupid skills in the game. And even if it does deal with Miracle, I'm still not going to be very happy about it. But there it is. Now, when it comes to Ginnungagap's roles and what game mode she wants to play in, when it comes to roles, I think that she wants to be like a nuke and she wants to be a debuff support. Those are the two things she's really going to be doing. When she comes on, like what she's offering to the team really is just that debuff ability and the ability to hit pretty hard. The thing is that she doesn't have a way to get around guard, so her lethality really isn't guaranteed by any means. It's you know, she could definitely hit it, but like if guard comes in, or like even like a scowl effect, that could stop it from activating, so that is something you're gonna have to consider. But I do think that when it comes to game modes, Ginnungagap could see on Aetherraid's defense just a little bit, and the reason for that is that flash effect. Flash can be very annoying to deal with, especially when that spreads, right? And unlike someone like Duo Elise who has to attack first, this is just gonna activate at the beginning of turn. So this could be really strong with someone like Freyr, of course, who can make sure that like their like, you know, Elamine's false star effect doesn't like turn this off or something else, right? So I definitely think that she might have a place there. Other than that, I don't really think she's going to show up much else, but I could definitely see Fatal Smoke having some impact on the meta if Miracle became more toxic. But at the moment, I don't think it's like the most crazy thing, so I don't really expect to see this all over the place. Let's move on to our next unit. Oh, it's FE7. This is Isadora, right? Does that mean we're getting Nurgle and Athos? Please say we're getting Nurgle and Athos. How is Isadora getting in before Athos? Okay, so at the top we have Guarding Lance, her preference weapon. This has Slaying, and then if a rally or movement assist skill is used by unit or target's unit, grants all stats, grants attack speed, defense, and res +6, bonus doubler, and foe penalty doubler to unit and target ally, or unit and targeting ally for 1 turn. And then if she initiates combat, or if she's in 2 spaces of an ally, she'll get +5 all stats. She'll get no follow-up, and she'll reduce damage from the foe's first attack by 40%. Okay, so this is okay. Like, this really isn't anything to write home about. Like, this isn't insane by any means, and she's in a very competitive like weapon movement type combo, right? Lance calves are just really powerful, so this is like okay. Like, if you're looking for that kind of support, it is a nice way to get bonus doubler, some stats, and like even foe penalty doubler. It's definitely not anything to sneeze at, but it's nothing like over the top amazing. And when you're looking for like cabs at the moment, you really need something crazy, because cabs are very much not in the best spot. They're easily the worst movement type at the moment. And so I do think that this doesn't offer as much. It's definitely not bad. If you're an Isadora fan, she's definitely usable, but like I don't think she's going to be a meta unit by any means. When it comes to her other skills, she does have attack, defense, snag 4. Snag has been slept on quite a bit, I would say. It's definitely a better skill than we like give it credit for, and I think people just don't use it all that much because it is tied to rearmed Krom, right? And everybody wants to use his sword or his other skills, so a lot of people kind of sleep on it. But this is a nice skill to have in the meta. I'm glad they're adding more variants to it. When it comes to roles for Isadora, she really just wants to be a support unit. That's the main thing she's going to be offering to your team, right? She's going to be able to give out those like nice effects. She can also act as an offensive unit, right? She does have no follow-up, which is nice. It's some damage reduction, which can make her do some things, but she doesn't really have any effects that like really push her power level where she can kill things very effectively, and her tanking is going to only be so good as a cav. So I think that her support is definitely the main role she will be playing. And when it comes to game modes, I think she really is only going to be seen in things like Aetherraid's offense possibly, because those are some nice support effects you would want on your tank. But other than that, I don't really expect to see her in Aetherraid's defense or Summoner Duels by any means. Okay, let's move on to our next unit in our demote. Who is our demote? It's Harken. Okay, Harken's getting in finally. Oh, wow, whoa. So I don't know if he's actually a demote or not. We'll have to check afterwards. But he does have a preference weapon for sure, which is insane. So we have Troubling Blade. This has Slaying in it. Unit attacks twice, even if the foe initiates combat. So we're getting a dual phase Brave weapon. And then if his HP is greater than or equal to 25%, he's going to get +5 to all stats. He's going to get damage reduction equal to 40% versus the first attack. He gets special acceleration. And then he even gets the Hell effect. So Hell has that cool remix effect where she can kind of teleport to any foe within 4 spaces to the nearest space, right? So she can't teleport behind them. And Harken can do the same thing. This is really cool. I actually like this a lot. I think this is better than Isadora by quite a bit. Dual Phase Brave is always very powerful, right? Getting some stats. Special Acceleration means that he's going to be a really good Gale Forcer, right? He can pretty much go in, hit twice, get Gale Force procced as long as he doesn't, kill the opponent in 1 hit. And he has Teleportation, meaning that he doesn't really even need a smite or something like that. He can just stand right outside the enemy's range, teleport in, proc that Gale Force, hopefully be in Wings of Mercy range, or get into Wings of Mercy range, and then start the Wing of Mercy train. This is a really cool weapon, and if this is a demote, this is probably one of the better demotes we've gotten in quite a while. This is definitely surprising how good he is. Oh my god. The rest of his kit has Bonfire and Attack Defense Clash 4 and Brash Assault 4, which is a very good skill as well. This is very easily able to duplicate because Brash Assault 3 is in the 3 to 4 star pool pretty much everywhere, so you won't have a problem with that at all. This is looking really nice. Now, he's probably going to be a bit slow, I'd say, just because he does have Defense Clash 4, but it is possible he's like a more middling speed unit. Either way, I think this could be a great unit. When it comes to roles, like I was mentioning earlier, I think his best role is going to probably be a Gale Forcer, just because he can go in and very consistently hit this Gale Force. And he's not going to have to worry about like counterattacks or getting blown up. And he has that teleportation. So I think Gale Force is definitely one of his better roles. He could definitely do some other things as well. He could be like a tank because he has special acceleration and a brave weapon. He can use godlike reflexes pretty well. You'll just have to pre-charge it for him. But then after that, even if the opponent has guard, if he hits twice, he'll have godlike reflexes charged up again. The real question is like how fast he is, right? Because he needs to have speed to actually use that build. But if he is fast, that's going to be a great option for him as well. And then you can also use him like as a tanky frontliner also. So this unit's looking pretty versatile, and I really actually like him quite a bit. When it comes to game modes, I don't think this is going to be a unit you're going to be seeing in Summoner Duels, but he can definitely be seen in like Ether Raid's offense for sure, and then possibly Ether Raid's defense, maybe. Because, you know, Hell is kind of tricky nowadays. I think people kind of sleep on her. She can do some like really like annoying things. Part of that is because she has a built-in miracle, but even so, I think Harken could definitely surprise some people. So if you get a bit creative and create some kind of like unique warping trap, I think Harken could definitely have some value there as well. Very, very impressed with this unit. Let's move on to our final unit of the banner. We're getting a new attuned hero. So 1 attuned, 1 rearmed, no ascended. It's Nino. I like Nino a lot, and I think Nino like hasn't gotten an ult in quite a while, so I'm not really surprised. But the thought that this could have been Jafar, right? This could have been attuned Jafar definitely hurts my soul. It hurts my soul so much. Oh my god. Especially because she's wearing his clothes. It's very cute though, so let's see what Nino can do. Okay, so let's see. We have Gondul. Her preference weapon has slaying, and at start of turn, if she's within 2 spaces of an ally, she'll get attack and speed +6 to herself and allies within 2 spaces of unit for 1 turn. So she's going to be able to give herself that visible attack and speed buff and her allies. And then if she initiates combat, or if the foe's range equals 2, she'll get +5 to all stats. She'll get a bonus to her attack equal to X, and then speed, defense, and res will get 50% of X. What X is, it's the highest total bonus among herself and her allies within 3 spaces. So this is kind of like a Blade effect, right? Where she's like looking at the bonuses of herself and her allies, and then she's getting a big buff to it, but she's also getting some of it to her other stats. So this is essentially like a Blade dagger that has some improvements to it. That's kind of interesting. And then she'll also get 30% damage reduction against the foe's first attack, and this does work with the Brave effect. So that means the first 2 attacks when a unit uses the Brave effect. And then lastly, she'll heal at 7 HP after combat. This is a very interesting and weird weapon. So essentially what this will do is it makes Nino kind of into like a ranged threat that also supports her allies. It's kind of going back to like year 1 Nino, where you really want to get those visible buffs on her so she can be at full power, and then she can go in and kind of like smash something and then typically get out. And because she has Flash Sparrow and Speed Defense Tempo 4, it's going to work really well with lethality. Speaking of which, we have Speed Defense Tempo 4, which what this essentially does is you get Speed and Defense -4 on the foe, you get neutralizes effects that inflict guard, or effects that gives the opponent special acceleration, and then lastly you get 50% damage reduction. Now, in my other video I was talking about how this is the version we were waiting for. Attack Defense Tempo 4 is fine, Attack Res Tempo 4 is nice, Speed Defense and Speed Resistance Tempo is the meta skills you're looking for. This is extremely powerful. This is like one of the best skills in the game for a nuke who is a physical nuke, right? This is absolutely amazing because a lot of times you're not going to really need no follow-up. You can either get no follow-up from an outsourced unit, like right, or you can get it from like even Guidance or from Legendary Alencia. But it's really difficult to get tempo effects, as only Legendary Byleth gives that out. So being able to have this in your B skill and getting that damage reduction having is really, really big, and this is going to be one of the best skills like in the game for the meta, probably for a while. But that's not it, we have to keep going, as Nino does have a preference C skill. This is kind of crazy. So I think maybe just all attuned heroes are going to have preference skills now, which makes me even more jealous that this is Nino and not Jafar. I would have been really, really happy if this was Jafar. Either way, we have Fang Ties, and then at start of turn, if she's within 2 spaces of an ally, she gets an extra space of movement and Canto 1. So I'm going to take back what I said earlier. She's going to be quite mobile. She's going to be able to go in, nuke things, and get out pretty easily. And also, she's going to get a Rally Spectrum effect. So where if she is at her maximum cooldown, she's going to get special cooldown count -2. But if it's at maximum value -1, she'll only get special cooldown -1. So this is really, really, really powerful. This is essentially like a Yuri in a way, right? Where you have the extra movement, you have the Canto. Obviously, Yuri gets a bit more Canto. He gets Canto 2. But Nino's going to pack a bigger punch because she does get that special cooldown minus. Well, like Legendary Yuri definitely can struggle because he can't run Time Pulse in his C slot, where he definitely does want that. Nino won't have that same problem, which means that she's going to be able to go in, hit very consistent lethalities, and get out. I'm very, very jealous. If you are a Nino fan, you just got like a very nice unit. I wish this was Jafar so much. And then lastly, we have to talk about the Attune skill Fleeting Echo. So this is our newest attuned skill, and let's see if the power creep is here already. So if a unit initiates combat, grants speed +2 to unit, and reduces damage from the foe's first attack by 30% during combat. Wow, they really pushed the power creep already. And this is what I was talking about in my video when the attuned skills came out. I told you it was only a matter of time. I did not expect it to be the next banner, but this skill's already insane, right? Now, obviously, speed +2 isn't the biggest deal, but speed definitely does matter in the speed meta we're currently in. The big thing here is really the damage reduction, right? Being able to get 30% damage reduction from your just X skill is nuts. Because what that means is you can either stack it with more damage reduction in your A skill with like Remote Sparrow, or you can go a completely different route and you can run a more offensive A skill, right? You can run Flash Sparrow, you can run Attack Speed Finish, you can run Hexblade. Being able to do that is just really, really good. And it gives your unit a ton more versatility. So I think this is actually an amazing attuned skill. This is like fantastic. And the fact that this is on an attuned hero means you can give out some really premium fodder, right? Because the thing is, every time you get a Nino, you can hand out all these skills without having to kill her. So that means like you could give this whole kit to a different unit. And I'm really tempted to do that, right? I really kind of want to give this to Joshua instead of Joshua, even though he already has a lot of these skills. But being able to get that Fleeting Echo would be really nice for whenever he doesn't have the wind sweep effect. Now, when it comes to roles, obviously Nino is a nuke, but she's also a support as well. She does offer some nice visible bonuses to her allies, which is definitely something you don't want to underestimate. But at the same time, her main role is going to be nuking and hit and running. That's like going to be what she's going to be really good at. And as a dagger unit, she can use Disarm Trap 4, which is really nice as well. So she's going to be able to go in, just nuke the crap out of something, and get out with her own extra movement and cancel. So I really think her best place when it comes to game modes is going to be Aetherite's offense. I could definitely see her being used there quite a bit. But it's also possible that she shows up in some other places, maybe like Summoner Duels as well. Yuri's definitely not as used as he once was in Summoner Duels, but that doesn't mean he's bad by any means. And so I could see a Nino coming in and definitely putting in some power there, as she is much more powerful than Yuri when it comes to straight up damage and the ability to proc specials very reliably. So it's possible we see her in Summoner Duels as well. Okay, let's move on, and we do see our new free-to-play unit, who is Will, so that's very nice to see Will in the game. Still can't believe that Athos and Nurgle aren't in the game, but we'll have to just suffer for right now. Let's move on to the final part of the video, should you pull? Okay, when it comes to should you pull, there are some good things on this banner. Obviously, you get the Arcane Dagger, which means you can also do skill duplication. We also have an attuned hero, which means you can do even more skill duplication, and you're getting some very powerful skills there, right? Flash Sparrow, Speed Defense Tempo 4 is probably going to be a very meta skill, and that new Echo skill is very, very powerful as well. So there's a lot of good things to get off this banner when it comes to fodder. Also, when it comes to units, I think Nino is very strong. Harken's very nice as well. I think Isadora's kind of mid, so that's probably not the best thing to pull. But overall, if these are one of your favorite heroes, this is definitely a good banner to pull on, as you're going to be getting a good amount of value. Now, when it comes to cons, I think this is really big. We do have a double legendary and mythic banner at the end of this month, and that's something you should definitely be paying attention to, because there's going to be some powerful heroes there, like the Golveg, and maybe even like some other versions of Golveg, because why not, right? Also, we'll be getting a new book in the beginning of December, which could introduce a new game mode or a new mechanic, so that's something you want to have orbs for as well. And then lastly, we do have a CYL rerun in December as well. So there's a lot of things to look forward to upcoming, and so definitely don't spend all your orbs here unless you're just a complete Nino hardcore fan and you just don't mind at all. But you have to remember this banner does last quite a while, which means that you can just wait. If you have patience, if you're free to play, just wait until this banner is towards its end. We'll be able to see the legendary banner at the end of the month, as well as probably the new heroes banner for December. So just hold out, and I'm sure that your patience will pay off. And I'd love to hear from you. What do you think of this banner? Personally, I'm a bit salty that Jafar didn't get the attuned unit, and there's no Athos and Nurgle, but overall I'm pretty happy, as we do have more Fire Emblem 7 heroes in that I really do enjoy, and they have some very powerful effects. Either way, make sure to drop a comment down below letting me know exactly what you think of these heroes and if you're planning to pull. As always, I'd like to thank my members for all their constant support, and if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. This has been Oblivion. I'll catch you all later.